In this video, we will cover two additional linear models. The first being a consecutive integer problem, and the second, an investment problem. So for our first example here, just another application, it says when an odd integer is added to 3 times the next consecutive odd integer, the sum is 116. I'm sorry, that should be 114. Find the value of the greater integer. So oftentimes I get questions on these. We want to just think about odd integers and even integers. Even integers are numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8. But in general, an even integer is 2 times n, where n is any integer. So 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4, and so on. The next even integer, we wouldn't add 1. So for example, if I was at 4, 2 times 2, if I add 1, I'm at 5. So I have to actually add another 2. So this would be an even integer, and this would be the next even integer. Similarly, for an odd integer is 3, 5, 7, 1 as well. And in order to represent that, we call that 2n plus 1. And therefore, the next odd integer would be 2n plus 1, that's the odd, plus 2, or 2n plus 3. So, if we read this again, when an odd integer, that would be 2n plus 1, is added to 3 times the next consecutive odd integer, 3 times 2n plus 3, the result, or the sum, is 114. So if I now simplify, 2n plus 1 plus 6n plus 9 equals 114. Collecting like terms, I get 8n. 1 and 9 is 10. So if I subtract 10, I get 104. And 104 divided by 8 gives me 13. Now, the question is find the value of the greater integer. So the integer is 2n plus 1. So 2 times 13 plus 1, or 27. And of course, the next one would be 29. So the larger integer is 29. So keep in mind, this is one of those situations where you have to be really careful and make sure that you read the question before you finish the problem, because the question was not what is n, but the question is what was the larger integer. Okay, let's take a look at this last example. This last example is similar to our chemistry example that we had in the previous video. So that's a little crazy. Okay, Dan has invested some money in 2 ways. Part of the money at 2% interest, so part at 2% interest, and 3 times as much at 2.25%. Find the amount invested at each rate if the total annual income from interest is $2,187.50. So we're talking here simple interest, and we know that interest is principal times the rate times time. Now, principal is the amount that we're investing. The question is, find the amount invested at each rate. So I am going to let X be the amount invested at 2%. Because all that said there was part of the money, so we don't know. But when we're talking about the 2.25% example, that's 3 times as much as we put into the other one. So 3x is the amount invested at 2.25%. So if I take the interest, just going to kind of sketch this out. If I take the interest from the 2% and I add it to the interest for the 2.25%, I will have my total interest. That's what's going on here. Just adding the interest from each one. So the interest from the 2%, we're using X, is principal, X. The rate is 0.02. And the time is 1 year. So we know that because it says annual income. So 1 year. For the 2.25, we have 3x times 2.25. Oh, I made a mistake there. Hopefully you caught it. We have to move our decimal 2 places. 0.0225 times 1 is the total interest, which we were told was $2187.50. So simplifying here, we get 0.02x. If I do 3 times 0.0225, we get 0.0675x equals $2187.50. And then adding those together, because they are like terms, we get 0.0875x equals the $2187.50. And then we will divide, and we get X is 25,000. Now again, that was not the question, what is X? The question was, find the amount invested at each rate. So I'm going to write a sentence here that says $25,000 was invested at 2%, and 3 times as much, we know that here, so $75,000 at 2.25%. Making sure that we're always answering using a sentence. So that concludes this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and good luck with your homework.